When I saw Luffy say, even if you die, don't die, all I could think of was this. When do you think a person dies? When a bullet pierces their heart?
違う
When he is attacked by an incurable disease?
違う
When he eats a deadly, poisonous mushroom soup?
違う
A man dies when he is forgotten. That quote is what I remembered soon as I saw Luffy say that to Djembe, and soon as I thought about that correlation, I froze up, because it would definitely be a Oda thing to do to have something like that, and maybe Djembe sacrifices himself so Luffy can get out of there. I hope that isn't the case, but that is a potential possibility, because let's take the context of what Luffy said, if it isn't a poorly translated chapter, which I doubt, because MS was pretty good with this chapter from what I could see. But I mean, if we look at the message there, Luffy's basically saying to Djembe, even if you die, don't die. You could kind of view it like this. Maybe Luffy didn't understand the full context of what he was saying, but when he said that, it could be a reference to, Hiriluk, you will die once you're completely forgotten. But as long as you're remembered, your legacy will continue to live on. And that's the funny thing. The mention of legacy, or telling the story after someone is dead, was even mentioned in this chapter by the fishmen themselves, which gives more context to this entire, reference to Hiriluk and how Djembe might be pulling that type of thing, to where he could be sacrificing himself and dying, but the Straw Hats will always remember him, because even if he is long gone, he is still saving them in Wano. I definitely see that being the main message there from Oda. I could be reading too deep into it, but that's kind of what I got. So we have a character that supposedly died, but is now back, now alive. Now, before everybody starts saying, uh-oh, this is bad and all that, I want to point something out. When this arc first began, the character that got killed, like one of Big Mom's sons, he got his entire soul yanked out of him when Big Mom went on her first rampage in Whole Cake Island. And when she went on a rampage, she killed this person. I want you to keep every second of his soul, his life or whatever, which implied that there could be a potential possibility for him to come back. So this didn't technically come out of nowhere. The entire setup for Big Mom's son to still be alive is there. So I wanted to point out before anybody starts getting upset with Oda and saying it doesn't make any sense, it was clearly foreshadowed in the beginning of this arc when he first, got killed off, and then the conversation happened afterwards. So I'm just making sure everybody is up to speed with that. Now anyways, with all that out of the way, let's talk about the main message, or what got me hyped with this chapter, and that is this scene. Luffy looking like a true captain. Anyone else get like a Yonko vibe, or even a Pirate King vibe from that moment? That gave me chills. I legitimately got chills when I saw Luffy say, I am your captain. And the way Djembe just looked at him and all that, he wasn't trying to say anything, he wasn't talking back, just the way Luffy said that. And the way he looked at Djembe, and you see, how this towel or whatever that's on him looks like a coat, I'm like, he looks like a legitimate Pirate King, or a true captain, and you can see how he's really starting to become more and more of a captain as the series progresses. I mean, Luffy's always proved that when things get tough, he stands in and he does show that he's a good captain, but as the series keeps going down further and further, we have noticed that Luffy is showing more and more traits as a true captain, like, a true Pirate King, especially the way he talked to Djembe in that moment, and the way he said, go for it and all that, and just make sure you come back alive. That was a wonderful scene, and it also shows that Luffy trusts in Djembe to hold their back line and not get killed off. It's a lot of faith that Luffy is putting in Djembe right now to be able to do something like that and not get killed off, especially when they're holding off a Yonko. So that says a lot, and I feel like that moment alone is probably one of my favorite parts about this chapter, and I easily say it's probably, I would say it's one of my favorite Luffy moments. One of my favorite Luffy moments, at least after the time skip. Because that was just truly an incredible moment with the man just saying something like that, the Djembe, and then, after showing that he is the captain, letting the man do what he wants to, go save the people that he cares about. But okay, getting off of that though, let's talk about the situation with Big Mom. So Big Mom, she is no longer down. She had the cake, and obviously she just was enjoying herself because it was the best cake she's basically ever had. And she finally gets back up, and she is chasing after the Straw Hats. Now, in this case, we could see that she hasn't been stalled for too long. She's on the chase, and that if she does get over there, pretty much all hope is definitely lost for the Straw Hats, because we gotta imagine that the Straw Hats have been fighting just Big Mom's crew. They haven't even been fighting her in the right mind. They've been running away from her, but they haven't even really fought her in the right mind when she was actually trying to go after them. She just wanted the cake. So that puts a lot of things into perspective that it's about to get a lot worse if Djembe and the Fishman did not step in to try to save the Straw Hats. Now, speaking of saving the Straw Hats, I guess let's tackle the elephant in the room. So, in the last chapter, chapter 900, there was a cliffhanger. And the cliffhanger had it to where it apparently looked like the Sunny got completely sunk by Big Mom's crew. And everybody was in shock, myself included, and we saw the cell just, in the water and all that. Everybody was just freaking out, and for good reason. But in this chapter, it is clarified that there was a fake out. It was the ship swapped with, the Fishman's ship, Fisher Tiger's ship, which I like that little nod to Fisher Tiger and how it's kind of like Fisher Tiger is being used to save the next Pirate King in a way. And I don't know, I just like the message of that. Hopefully I'm not the only one that got that, but anyways, the ships were swapped out, and that's kind of how the ship was able to be okay, why Sunny was okay. Now, I could see many having problems with this. Let's just be real here. I understand why people are having problems with the Sunny being okay because of the cliffhanger we got with chapter 900 and then after the break and all that. I understand. But at the same time, though, we gotta remember that if the Sunny was to sink, it would kind of go against what Frankie wanted in the first place, because the Sunny was supposed to be the ship that sailed to the end of the Grand Line, and was the ship to make the next Pirate King. So if the ship sunk, effectively it would mean that Frankie's ship wasn't good enough. It wasn't a ship worthy of a Pirate King. It wasn't a ship that, could make it to the end. So it would kind of undermine Frankie's entire character in a way, which would lead to some good character development if it did happen. I'm just saying it would kind of undermine that what was previously established with him. So it does make sense why Oda didn't destroy the ship just because of that. I understand that completely, but I could see why many would have problems with the scene just because of how the fake out was done with chapter 900. Now, speaking of Pirate King, because I mentioned quite a few times already in this chapter, let's talk about my big boy, big news, Big Bird. So, he said that he is a fan. He's pretty much a fan of Luffy. So he basically openly admits to CP0, Stussy, that, yeah, I'm kind of a fan of Luffy and all that, because among the worst generation, one of them are going to become the Pirate King. And the way he said that was kind of like saying that it is going to happen, whether you like it or not. Someone will. And this does give clarity to Big Bird a little bit on how he feels about Gold Roger. Now, I never really talked about it a while back. It was pointed out to me, and I'm not gonna say that, I was the one that first noticed it. It was thanks to all you guys in the comments letting me know, but it was pointed out to me a while back, like 2 or 3, 5 chapters maybe. It was a bit ago, but I mean, a couple chapters ago when it was stated that even Gold Roger himself would not be able to escape from Big Mom's crew when, they were surrounding the mirror, and there was a scene to where Big Bird, he was just very, upset. He showed a look of disgust, and it was a very quick scene. It was a legitimately quick scene, and many could honestly miss it, which makes sense. But a couple pointed out to me saying, Chibi, did you see that, and he was upset when they were kind of making light of Gold Roger, and that now puts it into perspective of how he feels about Gold Roger, especially after this chapter. With him saying what he said about Luffy, it shows that he, at some at the very least, he cared about Roger. It seems like he respected Roger, not just because he could create big headlines and big news, but most likely because he knew at the end of the day, Roger wasn't necessarily a bad guy, or maybe he was someone that, was painted bad just because of how the government works. I just feel like something like that's going down, but I do like the way that correlates with that, and I cannot wait till one day that is probably properly explained. And speaking of properly explained, I do want to talk about the fact that most likely when it comes to Big Mom's, I guess, character arc and what's been going on with her family and Mother Caramel and all that, that's probably not going to be concluded in Whole Cake Island. I'm willing to bet you it's probably not. Now, if it does, it does. But the way this arc is, I don't think Oda is really wanting to conclude Big Mom's story here. I believe that Big Mom's story will probably be concluded the next time we meet her, because right now, we don't have time for that, honestly. We're already dealing with one Yonko, which is Kaido, and once Luffy gets out of here, he has to go straight to Wano, so he doesn't have time to deal with all of this. And with Big Mom and all that, and her, trying to figure out what's happening in her life, I feel like Oda just wants to save that part of the story for when Luffy returns to face Katakuri one day, and then also take down Big Mom. And then Big Mom will realize more about her past and come full circle and is like, holy crap, I caused a lot of problems in my life, and so she will realize that. I feel like that's kind of what Oda's doing. He's saving Big Mom's story for later, which, in all honesty, I understand why some would be upset with that part, but I think it's a good idea, because it would lead to a reasoning to come back to Big Mom. I mean, yes, we know that Luffy's eventually going to have to surpass the Yonkos, but it would be nice to get some more context on Big Mom alongside of the rematch with Katakuri, and then eventually Big Mom. I think it would be a great way to kind of conclude her arc with her finding out the truth. That's just my 2 cents there. Now, speaking of Wano, so we're getting into Wano. Wano was mentioned and all that in this chapter, so it's about to happen. Many of us have been waiting for a while now to see Wano, so I'm glad it's going to be coming very soon, because it's been a hell of a wait, I'm not going to lie. But that's about it when it comes to this chapter. There's some little scenes here and there with the fishmen and all that, and helping out Djembe saying you don't trust us, but I mean, for the most part, that's pretty much the chapter. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please, subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And I love you guys. Chibi out.